Hi everyone out there. It's so good to see all you again. And I have an exciting treat for you today. Is this woman is amazing. I've heard so much about her. We met and in a mutual group that we belong to, Women Speaker Association, and she just when I said, "Hey, I want to interview you," and she just jumped on it, and here she is. So this is Gina Best. I'm going to have her tell you a little bit about herself, but before I go there, it's like I just want to say she's in Vancouver, BC, Canada right now. And our weather right now up there up north is just super hot for them in this streak. And we don't know if it's global warming or what the heck's going on up there, but you guys are rolling in the hot stuff right now, that's for sure. So anyway, this is Gina Best. And the first thing I want to ask Gina is to tell us a little bit more about yourself, especially your story of why you decided to do your business that you're doing.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I love doing these. So my story, don't even know where to start these days. So I am a serial entrepreneur. I have a couple businesses that run at the same time. One was my bread and butter for a long time. So I own a mortgage brokerage here in BC, and we're very large, and was my baby for a long time. I needed to grow something. I started from zero. We fund upwards of 150 million a year. So that has always been my bread and butter. And then about 7 years ago, I did an amazing program and a lot of personal development, and it changed everything for me. I had to reevaluate who I was, what I did, all of those things. And from that, some amazing changes came out. And I decided that as much as I love mortgages, I love my clients. That's my favorite part. And I'm really good at it. It didn't feed my soul. Mm-hmm. What feeds my soul is helping build business, especially with women who have had success and they don't know where the next part is. I used to sit at my desk and I'd have this little, whispers, the shadows cross my desk of, is this it? And I thought, oh, good God, is this all it's going to be? And, I ticked all the boxes. I had a successful business. I had a lovely husband, 2 great kids. And then everything changed. I still have the successful business. I don't have the husband anymore. We're very happily divorced and co-parenting. My kids are, 13 and 16 boys, so they give me a run for my money. But I decided that it was time to do something different. So I had the business part. So then I wanted to have if I was going to put myself out as a business coach, I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing, because I know that's not always the case. So I did my training. I have my international coaching certification. And I'm always doing constantly improving my skills, because I think it's, lifelong learning. Then about 5 years ago, I got diagnosed with breast cancer.
Wow.
Routine mammogram, called me, didn't think anything of it, went and had a biopsy, heard those words. So 5 surgeries later, I am cancer free, thank goodness. I have had reconstruction, but that changed everything for me.
Yeah.
During that time, thank God I've always had the mortgage business running, because I've been doing it for so long. It's kind of a self machine that goes, right? Mm-hmm. We've got very good systems and everything, and I have amazing people. So during my cancer journey, my ex and I were still living together. And we were lucky we had a basement suite in our house, so it worked out really well. And I was in this fear place of, he needed to move out, but I wasn't ready to let him go because I was so worried about my kids and everything else. And what I know now is very different. I still foot the bill for our lifestyle, yet I wasn't really working. So coming out of it, I was in the hole. Let's be honest. I was in the hole. My savings were gone. My investments were gone. I racked up some debt. And then finally he moved out when it all cleared, and the house was still joint in our name. He brought up selling it. I wasn't okay with that, because our boys are both adopted. And for our boys, it's really important to have that home part. Yes. And I always wanted to hang on to the house till they finished high school.
Yes.
So he moved out. It was fine. He was giving me time to figure it out. And then COVID hit. And I remember the day It was a Monday. It was a Monday of just before March break. I went to the gym and worked out with my trainer, and I was on the way home and I thought, oh my God, what in the world is going to happen?
Yeah.
Right? Because I was on my own for the first time. And like Dan and I were together for years and years, 24 years. And even though I foot a lot of the bill for the lifestyle, it's different when you're responsible for yourself, right? So, and the night before, 3 of my coaching clients canceled. They bailed on me. They had the exact same freak out and said, we need to stop right now. I totally understood it. So I remember driving home thinking, oh my God, what is going to happen?
Yeah.
And then the lockdown happened and my children were home full time. There was times that I wish I was a drinker, because I'm not, but oh my God. And we do week on, week off, but during the first lockdown, the boys stayed with me during the week and we tried to do homeschool, and then they went with their dad on the weekends. So about 3 months in, not even that. So there was all sorts of opportunities that, the Canadian government did really, really well, and banks and everything. So you could defer your mortgage, you could do all sorts of stuff. So I took advantage of everything I could just in case. And then in the mortgage world, things started going crazy like 2 months in, because people wanted more space.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for what, 15, 16 years. We have had the most unprecedented market we've ever seen.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, some of my coaching clients who were doing the one-on-one they were too afraid to commit to that money, which I completely understand. So I switched to a group coaching model, a mastermind model. So we were doing that. And then in March, April, May, in about May-ish, I got a lawyer's letter about selling the house. He wanted me to sell the house or buy it. So we went back and forth a whole lot. I did the what ifs, I did the worst case scenarios. And then I had a girlfriend who said to me, how much do you need to give them? And I told her the number. She said, write a check. And I'm like, what do you mean write a check? She said, write a check and put it in your drawer and look at it every single day. So I wrote a check and put it in my drawer and looked at it every single day. And at this point, I had an office in downtown Vancouver, and I couldn't break my lease because my landlords weren't into that, and they weren't taking part of any of the relief programs. So I paid my rent. I was there 8 times in 10 months. I paid my $4,500 rent every month, as well as everything else. And lo and behold, mortgages got really, really busy, and so did my group coaching. And it was interesting how they both went hand in hand. And I thank goodness, because let's be really honest, I had way too much time on my hands, because when you're home all the time, yes, I love to work. I love what I do, but I don't want to work 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I remember I went through a 9-week spell. The only place I went to was the grocery store. And finally, a friend invited me up for a weekend, and I hemmed and hawed about going. And I think we were allowed to at that point, but I just had to get out of town. Right, because it was 9 weeks in my house with my children.
I get that. Yeah.
And it was interesting. How I dealt with it, my stress. Some days I worked out twice a day, because that's how I dealt with my stress level. So got this lawyer's letter. I didn't think I could pull it off. I'm a really big schemer at heart. Like, you give me a problem, I'll figure out how to do it. Anyway, I pulled it off. I actually pulled it off. I I got creative with my financing, and I bought him out of the house in August I was $20,000 short of what he wanted. So I have to write him a check December 2022. I can live with that.
Yeah.
But then on the other side of it, okay, so I bought this house out, and all of a sudden I'm taking out a bigger mortgage and all these things. And then I thought, oh my God, how am I going to pay for it? Well, I have more money in my savings account than I have ever had. And I have a mortgage account that will cover 2 years of mortgage payments just in case. And then I still have a savings account. And the most interesting thing about all of this is all of the years we together, let's be honest, we lived life large. We had a great lifestyle. I never, ever worried about money. I'd always find the money. We could do what we wanted.
Yeah.
I worry about money more now than I ever did, because I have it in my account. It's so weird. But for COVID, as much as it was scary, and my kids had challenges, and the loneliness factor and all the bad things that came with it, for me it was a blessing, because I was home. I didn't spend. It was really busy. I could focus on my clients. And I think with all my coaching clients, except for a couple who had retail spaces, everybody has done super well. So it was a very different outcome than I expected in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like very different.
Did your government, the authorities or government ever force your area to shut down?
Oh, we were in complete shutdown. We're going to phase 3 today. We've been in phase 2 shutdown until today.
Okay.
So phase 1 was everything. Phase 2 was businesses. You had to have all sorts of really, really big protocols in place. You had to wear masks indoors, no gatherings in your house. When we went to phase 2, you were allowed to have up to 10 people in your backyard, but nobody in your house. So it's just, we're only going to phase 3 today.
Okay.
So our lockdown was very different.
Yes. Yeah, I can hear that. And so your office, you had an office for your mortgage brokers, right?
Yeah.
Did that have to close down and everybody work it from home?
Exactly. So the thing is in our world, a lot of people work from home anyway, but I used to go to the office minimum 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Right. Like we were in strict lockdown for months. And then we went to phase 2 and then we had to go back to phase 1. Right.
Yeah, so now that happened down here too. That's actually my next question is how long did each of those shutdowns last? Can you remember?
I think we went, I don't really remember honestly, because it's all blur now. In the fall, we went to phase 2 and then we had to backtrack a lot, and they opened up indoor dining, very specific family, there was really specific parameters and they shut that down. We went back to phase 2. We went back to phase 2 with all the indoor dining and stuff shut down. Not that long ago, a few months ago, because we had a lot of cases going up. Now it's only been, they've done a really good job getting vaccine rollouts and stuff like that. So like I said, we're going back to phase 3 today and they've just opened up. We are now allowed to travel within Canada with some parameters. Like I'm originally from Newfoundland on the very, very east coast of Canada. And we had a trip planned last year in the summer. So my parents are getting up there and I want to take my kids.
Yeah.
So Newfoundland, as of today, if you've had 1 shot,
yes,
you can go as long as you have a COVID test within 3 days. And if you've had both shots, you're allowed to visit. So my kids, thank goodness, have had their first shot. So we're actually going to go the end of August.
Okay.
But I'm interested to see, so they opened up the plan today and our numbers run about 3 or 4 days behind when we hear about them. I'm interested to see if our heat wave caused some issues because it was so hot and we're not prepared for this weather. A lot of people went to the mall, went to movies, and even though we have major safety protocols, but I'm interested to see because like I actually thought at one point, will I take my kids to the mall because we were so hot. No, I didn't do that, but it'll be interesting to see. But I'm really, and then there's a part of me, like today, the restrictions get lifted. So we're allowed to not wear a mask inside. Right. I think it's up to businesses if it's not mandatory because it was mandatory. Yeah. You're allowed to dine with groups other than your family, and they're opening up the indoor stuff. And I don't think I'm ready. Right. It's been so long. Like last year, I went through about 4 or 5 months. The only person I saw were my kids, my boyfriend, and my ex.
Right.
And then to add people back up, it's quite nerve-wracking. So
yes, I got used to the point where every time I would see somebody, I we'd go to the grocery store or whatever, and I'd see people, and I'd be like, even with masks on and everything, it's like germs, get away, germs.
Absolutely. For a very long time, all I ever did was grocery store, drugstore, hardware store. That's what I did.
Right. Yeah. Yes, pretty much what we did here too. They limited how many people could come in to the grocery store, and not all stores, but the ones we went to. And then it was interesting. I don't think Costco did that.
I stood in line at Costco a couple times.
Yes, I know. In some areas they did. Yeah. I'm trying to remember either that or we just didn't go when it was busy. We didn't go that often. I remember that.
I stood in line at the butcher's.
Yeah.
And all I could think was, my God, this is weird that you're standing in line for things. And then
Exactly.
I
Yes.
thought about, what was it like after World War II and rations, and
Mhm.
like it was really interesting, the things that made you think about. And there's some real gifts inside of COVID, not
Yeah.
just for me financially, but like the time with my kids, even though there
Yeah.
was times that, whoo, I go in the backyard because I just had to get away from them. But it's spending that time with them. Like my oldest, he hugs me before he goes to bed every night. And that wasn't something we did before COVID,
Yeah.
right? It's really interesting.
The level of
So
gratitude has come out of it,
yeah.
that, okay, we got through it to this point,
Mm,
and it looks like, okay, we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel. We're
yeah.
seeing light at the end of the tunnel. So
And one of the things I did in COVID, so when my ex and I split up our assets, we had a little travel trailer we used to use. I really wanted to keep it, but I couldn't. I had to throw it into the deal.
yeah.
So in January, I decided that I wanted a little travel trailer and a car to pull it. And because my boys still want to camp with
Yeah.
me. And at 13 and 16, it's a gift, so I'll take it. So I bought a new car and a new travel trailer.
Ah,
Loved it. We did 2 outings. I did one on my own, one with the kids. And then it'll be 6 weeks this Saturday. We did our 3rd outing and I had an accident and I fell out of the travel trailer
oh,
and ripped the quadricep muscle off my knee. So I had to have emergency surgery and I'm home literally home, peg-legged around on my couch.
yeah.
Hence why you see me like this. But if it wasn't COVID when this happened, like I would have had to cancel my schedule. I would have, like, I just think about like what would have happened if it was 2 years ago and all the things that I used to
Yeah.
do. Whereas this time, yeah, okay, yeah, I had to move some stuff around. People have been super great about moving Zooms and stuff, but I can still run my business where I probably couldn't have if it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's so different now. And as much
Yeah.
as I get Zoom fatigue, I could do about, truthfully, 3 is my happy place on a day, 5 throws me over the edge. There's some I will go back to a model of Zoom and in person, right? That will be my model because I love the in-person stuff.
Me too.
But
Me too. Yeah.
it'll be coaching in my backyard. We'll go for a walk,
Yeah.
it'll be going back to those things that I love. So
I've got people
again,
that are like, I say, well, do you want to meet on Zoom? Oh no, I'll call you. We're back on using the phone, and I'm like, okay, this is so
no.
weird.
I love that part because
Yeah.
when I used to do presentations, depending on the audience, I do some world according to Gina because as you can tell, I am not the typical businesswoman. I've got a lot of tattoos. My hair is bright purple. So I have the world according to Gina. And one of the ones I always did, especially with business associations, was I would hold up my phone like this and say, "This is a phone. You speak on it." And they would all laugh, but they'd get the point.
Yeah.
And I don't do business by text. I just can't get my head around it. So I actually say to people, I don't do business by text. But yeah, it was always one of the things. And I love the fact that people talk.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
with Zoom, like I have every Thursday morning, I have coffee with the ladies. And I met them through a book club. And there's a few of us that we want to check in every Thursday. And we're all across the country. And every Thursday morning at 9:00, I make a cup of coffee. This morning I sat on the deck with it and we have a gab. And like that would never have happened.
That's right. That stuff never
And
happened.
that's what I think is amazing.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a few more questions here. So did you lose any revenue at all during the shutdown in the
In
beginning?
the beginning I did.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Monday I was freaking out because all of a sudden, like I said, I had four of my one-on-one coaching clients
Yeah.
cancel. And I was like, holy shit, sorry.
Yeah.
And then mortgages on the mortgage side, that first month or two,
Yeah.
it was kind of very quiet because everybody was in the freak out mode, right?
So a couple months.
So
Huh?
couple
Yeah.
months. And then I realized, and it took longer for the coaching side to come back than the mortgage side because
Yeah.
people were realizing they're trapped in tiny little apartments.
Yeah.
We need to get out of here.
Do you feel like sharing that revenue that you estimate?
I don't know company wide, but me personally, my revenue for the first half of 2021
Yeah.
is up 50% for the first half of 2020.
Okay.
And 2020 revenue for me personally, my year end's just coming up, so I'm not 100%
Yeah.
sure. I my commission was probably, no, I can't tell you off the top of my head. I know 2020, my commission was up about 75% over 2019.
That's significant. That's
Yeah,
good.
it was significant. It was probably one of the, last year was the best year I've ever had.
Yeah.
And we had 6, you know, truthfully, we had January, February, March were normal. January, February, March. March came, we usually have a spring market, March, April. That didn't really hit till about June or July. But it was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to give, you know, I'm sure that just thinking about that, that's going to give people that are listening here some hope that, you know, they may have lost some money, or they may have been totally, you know, waylaid or anything like that. But there's, to me, there's hope in that no matter what happens, we can, as entrepreneurs, we can step up and create something, or something was like, you were blessed that things were already in place. And the right thing was in place. The mortgage, yeah. Who would have thought the mortgage industry was going to take off the way it is? Who would have thought?
Oh, yeah. And, you know, it's really interesting. One of the things that I always tell my clients, and I do a lot of work with new entrepreneurs through some startup programs here, is structure will set you free.
Yes.
Structure will set you free. And I am like, one of my biggest, if you haven't figured it out, one of my biggest values is freedom. Like, you couldn't tell me what to do. I had to figure it out myself. But structure and systems, like the reason the mortgage world works, my mortgage brokerage works, is because we have amazing systems, you know, and I don't need to talk to my sister for 4 or 5 days, and I know it's all going because we have amazing systems.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Trust in that.
So, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, so you've recovered your lost revenue already, and you don't see any downside coming up in the future, do you?
No, you know what? The mortgage market, I think, is slowing a little bit, but I don't worry about that side anymore because it's a self-fulfilling machine. You know, I've got the systems, I got the touch points, I have a really big database. I love the clients, you know, that side.
Yeah.
On the coaching side, we are slowly seeing people coming back, ready to take the leap into the higher ticket prices. I love, one thing I really wanted always when I started this is I had all these new entrepreneurs that I was always trying to figure out, how can I support them when they can't afford me? So I have a new rule. I do not coach for free. I don't, except every single new entrepreneur gets at least an hour of my time. So I've always wanted to make sure I had programs that they could do as well. So I do have a mastermind group coaching program that is a lower price point for those who are not ready to commit. But what people really, really, really need to know is, yeah, it's a scary thing and it's a leap of faith, but if you don't invest in your business and you're never going to get asked.
True. Very much.
Right?
Very much.
You know, and it has to be, and there has to be a price attached, because if you give people things for free, they won't do anything with it.
That's right.
So that's, you know, really interesting. So I'm getting ready to run another, the first 6 months are almost done. I'm getting ready to run another mastermind intake, and it's got a mastermind group coaching it. And my style is different. You know, it's amazing. What I love the most about when you look at business coaches, everybody is so different.
Yeah.
And I love how we can all jive together. But, you know, my people who work with me may not work with you. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I get it. But I love that, you know, when you invest in yourself and your business, all you can do is go forward. And as much as everybody hates the word pivot, we've all had to pivot.
Yeah.
That's what this was about. You know, as scary and terrible COVID was, it was a really interesting lesson of pivoting and resilience and gratitude.
Yeah. It is, absolutely. Yeah. And I've always lived by the rule. It's like being flexible, and the person that's the most flexible will always win.
Well, you know what? If it happened 10 years ago, I would have lost because I wasn't flexible. It was my way. I was very brittle. And all I can think of is I'm so thankful of all the work I've done on me and my businesses the last 7 years, because I wouldn't have survived breast cancer, let alone a pandemic. So
yeah. When challenges happen, we can rise above it.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Did your yeah, now you already told me some stories about how COVID impacted your family, and it sounds like it's a very blessed thing that came together and happened. Yeah.
I'll tell you the best. It's kind of a COVID story, kind of not. So when I had my accident, I couldn't walk on my leg. So my sister, who lives in Newfoundland, East Coast,
Mm.
I checked. She was allowed to come help me because even though the pandemic was going on, and she came out and she stayed with me for 5 weeks. So
Wow.
she already left on Tuesday. And the sister I know growing up, and the sister I've known through the years, we're very different people now. And whenever your family comes to visit, you always have that little worry in the back of your head. Well, oh my God, my sister is awesome. We did 5 weeks together, and did I enjoy every minute of it? No, because she made me do exercises and things I didn't want to do. But what a gift.
Yeah.
What a gift. 5 weeks with her, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And that would never have happened either without
Yeah.
COVID.
It's very true. Very, very much so. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, I have another question for you. You haven't mentioned this yet. Did the virus cause you to lose any employees?
No,
All good.
sorry, I'm just going through my head. No, nobody didn't lose anybody. I did a lot. The one thing I did from the very beginning is we did weekly check-ins with everybody.
Uh-huh.
I made phone calls. Every week I checked in with 2 people to make sure they were okay besides our weekly. And it was a Wednesday morning, 10 o'clock, come as you are, have a coffee, let's check in. And we did it right out of the get-go every single week.
Oh, really good. Really
Yeah.
good. Yeah. I'm just imagining that your coaching background and your training and everything speaks huge in this whole thing. It's because you understand what people need and you can give it to them.
The other thing I did is every Friday at 2 o'clock, I did check-in calls.
Yeah.
And they were with friends, they were with clients I was worried about, past clients, whoever it was. And I spent an hour every Friday checking in with people.
That's so important. Yeah. That's so
It
important.
really
Well,
is.
yes, that's awesome. You are an amazing business owner there. Don't
Thank you.
hear this very often from people.
Well, it's all about the people for me. Everything is
Yeah.
about relationship.
Yeah. Okay, so one last question is, are you taking any precautions from your experience with COVID to prepare for a similar disaster in the future?
I don't think so.
History repeats itself, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And I think, I was pretty okay beforehand. Now that I don't have an office, that's a big relief because that was a big expense I didn't need. But I think I would be prepared for another craziness in the future. I don't think I would. I think I've done everything that we needed to do
Yeah.
for if we have to do this again.
So the office is you've closed the office.
Bye-bye. Yep, my
Yeah,
lease was up.
that's a good cost-cutting, strategy.
And it's funny, I had some sadness because I had an office downtown Vancouver for 13 years.
Yeah.
And the last day before I gave up the keys, I had some tears. And the day I gave him the keys and I walked down the stairs, I literally felt the weight lift off my shoulders because it was $4,500 every single month that I paid all through the pandemic. Right? It was such a relief.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
And I have a garage full of office stuff.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone, yes. So yes, the world's changing now. It's like a lot of people are going to be companies and businesses they're letting people work at home, and it's going to change the dynamics of across the world, all kinds of industries.
I think we'll have a really interesting hybrid model. I think that one thing leaders, CEOs, people with teams need to realize that as much as people want the flexibility to live from home, work from home, which is great, it's also the culture and the camaraderie is really important. So I know there's been a couple companies I know here locally that they've been changing their work policy, and the policy is they're allowed to work remotely, but every quarter they have to be in the office for a certain period of time just to keep that connection.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
gotta keep that coffee machine and that water cooler in the corner going, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's more to it than just having water.
Yeah,
There is,
for sure.
absolutely. Oh, Gina, it's been such a pleasure talking with
Thank you
you,
so much.
and thank you for opening up and sharing your story and your experience. And yeah, you know, it's gonna, yeah, this is your, you know, your point of view has been bright and shiny, and you learned a lot. It's scary in the beginning, as a lot of us have, you know, experienced and everything. But the one thing, you know, is like the human spirit is bigger than any of us, and we always rise above. We always
Absolutely.
we always rise above. And so yeah, this is a good, I don't know, COVID happened the way it's supposed to happen, I suppose. And we could have another pandemic again in the future. We just, like, you know, gotta say
You can
some
only
prayers.
deal with things that you can control. So it's all about how
Mm,
you react to things.
yes, exactly. Exactly.
So
So Gina, I understand that people may want to get hold of you, and you may have a gift for people.
absolutely. If they want to get hold of me, you can always go to my website, which is Gina, Gina .best, BEST. And on my website is my actual phone number. You can pick up the phone and call me. You can email me. And if you, on the front page, when you get there, if you put your email address in, you'll get my free gift, which is about getting out of your comfort zone. And I always have the time to have a conversation. So anybody who wishes to have a chat, feel free to reach out to me, because I will always make the time to have that conversation.
Yeah, thank you. That's
My
beautiful.
pleasure.
Thank you. So everyone listening to here, it's like you're going to want to you're just going to connect with Gina. She's a rock star. I tell you what she does. So yeah, so she'll help you with anything you've got going on in your life. Not to mention, just have a cup of coffee with her.
Absolutely. My favorite thing.
So thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been wonderful. And I am Johnnie Urban, and my company is Stop the Madness Business Solutions, where business owners hire me to increase their revenue without spending any money on marketing or advertising. How cool is that? So you can find me also at STM, which is short for Stop the Madness, because isn't that what we all want to do? Stop the crazy madness of stuff, you know, that blocks us. So STM Business Solutions. You can find me at that in .com. So anyway, thank you so much, Gina, for your time. And I appreciate you. And boy, we're going to stay connected. We're like sisters from another mother. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I so appreciate it.
Yeah.